I think we are officially live.
Awesome. Nice
Well,
to
hey
know that.
guys, happy Thursday. Welcome to Star Wars on High. Thank you for stopping by. We have got kind of our weekly Thursday stream that we're trying to make happen. So
That's
I
right.
shouldn't say it's a tradition because it
Yeah.
really isn't at this point. But we're doing our best. And this week we have Star Wars Timeline on the channel. I think a lot of you guys know him from either already being subscribed to him or from some of our podcasts in the past. But if you are unfamiliar, why don't you give a quick intro? What are you about? What's your channel about? What are you doing in the space right now?
Roles are reversed now. Now I'm the
That's right.
guest, and it's very nice to be so. Thank you, Star Wars on High. Basically, Star Wars Timeline. I have my Facebook group. I have my channel. I do. Honestly, the idea started as strict book reviews. It
Yeah.
expanded. I do like character lore videos. I do different highlights. I do talk about specific characters, and I talk about what recommendations, what good books I have to read. Come check it out at Star Wars Timeline. And there's all sorts of good stuff there.
Yeah, absolutely. We connected via YouTube, just back and forth, and we've really had a lot of good conversations on his channel about the prequels, but also just in the comments about some of the books and other items. I find with Ben on his channel, he covers a lot of material that I don't have experience with or that I haven't read. It's a lot of different information than what I, had been subscribed to in the past. So I find a lot of your stuff really fun and good. So it's
Yeah.
nice to have kind of someone else's perspective on, some stuff I'm unfamiliar with as well.
Yeah, and it's something that you focused on, like stylistically. The channels are so different. They like to go for like latest update and scoop. That you like to talk about the latest trends.
Yeah.
What fans are talking about, the controversy and stuff like
Right.
this. Completely different. It's nice to have to find a channel that is like so focused. You know exactly what the idea is.
Yeah. Totally. Absolutely. And I think you're right. When you talked about at the beginning, you were mainly focused on book reviews. That is, I think some of your most interesting in-depth discussion. And it's going to fit in nicely tonight because the first thing I have on the docket to talk about tonight is some book news. So, I think a lot of my fans are familiar with a lot of the High Republic stuff or maybe some of new canon. And I do see a lot of them as well who are familiar with Legends. And without further ado, I want us to take a look at an announcement today. So let me get over here and share some of this juicy information that we got
Let's get some juice.
today. So you can see my screen, I assume.
Oh yeah.
This is exciting stuff. This to me is big time. And if you guys don't know, they are starting to re-release some of the Legends novels with updated covers, and this started this month officially. We've had our first release in hand, and they've announced that they are not only going to complete, right, we have the whole Heir to the Empire trilogy, Timothy Zahn's. We've also have the next Darth Bane novel coming out and Rogue Squadron. And so one thing I got to do right off the top, first of all, start giving me your thoughts. I got to go pick up, I have my copies right here. Let me
Yeah.
go pick them up.
Awesome. Look at this show off right there.
That's right.
Showing off your books.
That's
Mine's
right.
in the shelf. Yeah, I picked them up as well. It's so lovely. Such beautiful cover designs. I love it. Oh man, look at that.
What happened with me, and I talked about this on the channel, and I don't know if you've where people have ordered them from, but I talked about it. I ordered mine from Amazon,
Yeah.
and they literally shoved all of them in a bag. And I understand, Amazon's got a lot of orders coming through, but they kind of rubbed on each other. And if you haven't felt these covers yet, they have this kind of matte. It's really pleasant, but you can definitely tell it's easy to scuff them up, right? And so mine came in, the first one I got, it just totally ripped down this, like ripped on the side and ripped on the front.
That sucks.
And I went back and forth if I should return it or not. I was like, and then at the end of the day, I really wanted these partially for the display. So I was like, if I want them for the display, I feel like I should get the best quality. So I actually ran out just by chance, was at Target, and they had the everyone but Shatterpoint, right? Of the first three, we have everyone but Shatterpoint, and they were in really good quality, and they were 20% off. So they were actually pretty
Nice.
cheap. Yeah, they were actually $12. So feel free to run out to your local Target and check those out. But these ones, we have some more in depth.
Oh man, look at these covers. To be honest with you, Josh, you know what got me into this? Why I got so hyped? You know, I'm somebody who has been like head into this Legends series way before Disney took over. I've been reading since late '90s, and all the novels that are coming out right now, I've read, and honestly, they represent that the executives at Lucasfilm and and Del Rey and Disney Books are saying we're listening, we're paying attention.
For me, it reintroduces these characters, and you're the perfect guest to have on to talk about these because you do, like you said, a lot of book reviews, but specifically, you have a lot of Legends content.
Right.
And
I love talking about Legends.
Right. And I don't have as much experience as you do. I joined later in the game, and hearing just the raving reviews from not just you, but even like some of the authors of the new books, like Kevin Scott has tweeted out how excited he is for this kind of stuff. Right. For them to show, like you said, that they care and they're giving us, I mean, I'm getting that whole trilogy just so I can have all these covers. I have to, you know what I mean? Because they are just so good. And I think you're dead on. I'm very, we can be in an age where everyone is so focused on, how Disney doesn't take care of the fans or Star Wars doesn't take care of the fans. And sometimes they might not give us what we want. But in this case, I think this is awesome. They're listening to us, right? This is great.
Yeah. No, this is, again, it's not only the books that they picked, which are obvious pillars of Legends. They're absolute pillars. I have not met a single fan who like goes, like High Republic sucks. Like you don't hear fans talk about this like the Bane trilogy. It's revered. It's like, oh my God. People don't talk like this about the original Throne trilogy. I mean, like it's like saying that the original Star Wars sucks. I don't watch it, but you can't spin hyperbole, you can't spin controversy on these because these are bulletproof. Look at this, the Rogue Squadron.
It's fantastic.
I just finished rereading it because it's actually a funny story. I left some smaller series in the Legends. I'm almost complete, but I'm not completely finished. I left something like the Rogue Squadron, the X-Wing series, which is 10-book part. I left some of the Republic Command, which is 5-book part. I left them for the last. So at one point in my reading, I got like halfway through this series, but I just recently reread Rogue Squadron because I said, you know what, I want to have these fresh in my memory, and I've never completed this series. So in order to talk with fans in a meaningful way, you got to know your material, you got to know your stuff. I'm like, and just as I was about to do my review for the second book, boom, the first one comes out. I'm like, oh my God, they're in my mind.
And this is a fantastic cover. I absolutely love everything about this. I mean,
yeah.
The red, first of all, there's a lot of detail in the helmet with the galaxy being reflected through, but also the black and gold with it is fantastic. And I should say, we've had a couple fans in the chat. So we got Blue Pig Gaming, Highwire Heather. Thank you guys for jumping in.
Nice. How are you?
One thing the Blue Pig Gaming called out is he wants us to look back at this cover here. And he said, is she holding Luke's, is Mara Jade holding Luke's lightsaber? I cannot tell from this picture if that's Luke's lightsaber.
That's an awesome question. I recently did a short video on Mara Jade and what I like my character highlight. That's what I usually do. I just discuss the character in general. Yeah. It's been such a long time since I read the original Throne trilogy. I believe I read it like in early 2000s because Mara Jade is notorious for switching lightsaber colors.
Okay.
And even outfits as well. So visually, she's a character that constantly evolves. If I'm not mistaken, because the original graphic novel of the novel also features her with the green lightsaber. I believe it's her own, and then she switches to I don't remember honestly.
Yeah.
We gotta look it up. But we have.
I mean, this is the style they have that's almost comic booky. So you've seen Luke's face, almost that checkered. And I have the Heir to the Empire one here, and you can't really see it on my camera, but it has that in person. So I can imagine how these are going to look. I'm like holding them side by side. The blue with the red with the what was the other cover? The black. It is going to flow so well, and it captured the likeness of the characters phenomenally. I just want to say that as well. Yeah. We have Luke, Han, Leia, and they look so much like the characters that we know, the actors and actresses. Just awesome. This is so cool. I'm very happy they're doing this. And I absolutely love that each of the... So you have your trilogy with Heir to the Empire, Timothy Zahn. They all have their own unique style. Yeah. And the Bane one has their own kind of brush stroke. I have mine back there. If I take it out, the whole bookshelf's going to fall over. It'll be funny, but they have this kind of painted look to it, right? And Shatterpoint, which was, the other novel, had a very hyper-realistic, photorealistic look to it. And so they all had their own unique style, even though they have that consistent, header with the title on top and the author. They have their own unique style, and I think that's awesome. And this one has, to me, almost like a propaganda look to it, like a poster. You can see this hanging on the wall.
It does. It does have that classic 70s poster look.
Yeah.
Josh, if you could go back to the drawn images, I just wanted to point something out. This is the reason I'm actually getting them. The book design, the presentation. I have the entire collection.
Already,
the original paperback Legends in full, the full set. They're like crispy clean, sitting in the shelf. But I want these. And looking at the cover like this, I'm imagining myself, if I were like a brand new fan or a lifelong fan who never delved into the books, walking through Barnes and Noble books at Target, and looking at these designs, they are so thought out. It's honestly, this entire campaign speaks to me. Once again, I just want to reiterate that all the naysayers, all the fans were saying, well, Disney abandoned Legends, they don't care anymore. And Josh, you might be aware of this project, the bulletin board project, right? That sits right in front of the offices where Kathleen Kennedy and everybody is at Lucasfilm is, where they were trying to campaign for this, exactly for this, saying, look, continue Legends, please reprint them. And nothing speaks better to the audience than the quality of these book productions. And even when you look at this like cross-hatching, obviously it's most likely done in Photoshop.
Of course, yeah. Of course, yeah.
But it harkens back to the old school, traditional 70s art style and so forth. And even when you look at the Thrawn trilogy, which the original books already had an updated art, but it looks so ugly. It looks like they picked like some random person from DeviantArt. It looks like anime, and there was no sense of rhyme or direction to it, or sense of scale or perspective. You look at these covers, you want to pick them up.
I got to say, and this is going to be a perfect segue to our next topic as well, because we're going to talk about some special editions. You hit the nail on the head when you talked about, because I bought this at Target yesterday or the day before. When you're walking down the aisle and you see this green lightsaber, this mysterious, like if you don't know Star Wars, right, and you see this glowing red eyes and Luke, in this awesome position, it is going to draw you in. If you see Darth Bane, with the hood on and the red strokes, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, like new Star Wars, and new fans are going to be brought in because of that. You're dead on. You are dead on. Great call out. I mean, imagine walking down the aisle and seeing this ominous stormtrooper with Han and Leia, right? And then you'll see on this cover, it's so distinct. You'll know that's Luke Skywalker, and like, who is this female Jedi with him? You're going to be brought right in. You're going to want to learn more, and so that is so awesome, so awesome.
Yeah, the likenesses they captured completely. There's oftentimes you look at the old school art, especially like early '90s, the characters look weird. I'm like, Han looks kind of off. Here they nailed it. Yeah.
And it's going to segue right into our next topic, which is, so if you guys haven't been here before, it's called Utini. They show the release schedule. I love to just do it. They introduce me to things that I didn't know were coming out, or, keep me honest. And anyone who's watched my channel knows I've been really excited about the High Republic. And we're getting 2 book releases in the next 5 days. Race to Crash Point Tower, which is, again, aimed at that younger audience. Mm-hmm. But I think the one that we're all, and at least I'm extremely excited about, is The Rising Storm. From the buzz I've seen, I don't know, and again, you might not be seeing some of the early reviews like I have. I'm hearing extremely positive things. I mean, people saying it goes dark in ways you didn't expect. It's gonna rock you and shake you. And to me, that is so exciting. That I love when Star Wars isn't afraid to go dark. It isn't afraid to treat its audience like we're mature, even though they want that young audience. They want those kids excited. It excites me to see what they're doing. And as you start talking about your I want to know if you're going to pick these up, when you're going to read them. But I do want to share, we're getting special edition covers of these as well.
This looks magnificent, Josh. And just to, if I may pick it up from you.
Yeah.
I ordered 2 copies of this. I'm obviously, fans who know my channel, they know that I'm a huge High Republic fan. Like, oh my God, is that possible? Really? He's Legends fans. He actually likes High Republic. It's not war garbage. No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's great stuff. It represents some of the most focused, driven content I've seen out of Star Wars in a long time.
Yeah.
Just like the Bad Batch is good on screen, this stuff is really awesome in literature. And I'm really surprised, even reading the young adult books, if you can switch to one of them to show us, Justinia Ireland, you obviously read it with, understanding its intention. It's for younger audience. But there's some real genuine moments like of tensions and fear.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
oh my God, is this person going to die? Even the kids they're treating with as is, maturely, if I may say so. They're not giving it, it's not your naive little kitty Ewoks version of Star Wars for kids. It has grown a lot.
Yeah.
And I like that.
Two things I got to call in the chat. So first of all, for the Blue Pig, he asked if I saw the alternate covers of Into the Shadows. Do you mean Out of the Shadows, I assume? And if so, yes, they're right here. And I got to be honest, though. I don't know if you've seen all the covers for Out of the Shadows. I think I might like the original the best. This one, to me, is fine. And I like this one, actually. I like getting the close, intricacies of the Nihil mask. But I actually think the original cover, which they don't even have on here, is really impressive. But, you said something there. Also, another call for the audience. I saw Highwire talk about he has all of his books on Audible. I am a huge Audible proponent. I work full time, so I spend a lot of time commuting to work, and that is how I listen to my Star Wars content. I already have Into the Rising Storm, pre-ordered on Audible, and I also bought the cover mainly for display purposes. I love to support the authors, and you definitely support them by going to Audible, but you also support them by just picking up their hard work and the printing material. So I like to pick them up, and I've pre-ordered this Target one right here. Because
same here.
Yeah, I want this, but I gotta ask you, man, have you seen this out of print version right here?
This I have, and when I saw it, it was still available for pre-order. I believe it's still available on that website. You could check it out if you want.
Yeah, I think it actually, I don't think they're letting you pre-order it until the day it launches.
Oh, they're not. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Okay. Got you. See, I wasn't aware. Yeah, I was considering it for a moment. It's a completely magnificent piece of art. And just like the special edition cover of Rising Storm, it harkens back, and I mentioned it in my video, to Art Deco. It's like this very beautiful and poetic, callback to the past. And it's really great. But it's just, I didn't see the title of the book in front of it, so I said, I don't know. It kind of looks naked without the cover for me. I'm finicky like that.
That's funny. I had the same thought. This is gorgeous artwork.
Yeah,
it is amazing. But I was like, I would have been fine if you'd have put the High Republic up here. Like, to me, it doesn't look like a book almost. I love it, like you said, but I'm not so in love with it that I think it's better than the Target one. I think they're both fantastic, and I wouldn't blame anyone for picking this up. Absolutely. I don't know if you've seen this website before out of print. I assume you have, but
yeah, once this announcement came out, it introduced me to this.
I love this Art Deco Jedi one, like you just talked about. They kind of have this matching shirt for it, which I really like. But they also did something for Thrawn Ascendancy, which is $150. So I will not be purchasing this, but I do think this is just absolutely beautiful. You see, they have his whole back as a portrait on the back.
That's great, yeah. And
on the front, it has kind of a cover over it. This is just really awesome. I want to call this out as well.
No, this is great content. You're introducing me now. I'm supposed to know about this stuff, and I just had such a hectic, busy week just producing stuff. Like, oh wow, look at this. I didn't see that.
And if you haven't seen this website to anyone, they have some really cool shirts. In fact, so this is the Star Wars Heir to the Empire, like original cover, right? And on the back, it puts like the opening crawl, what it would have been. It is a time of renewal, 5 years after the destruction of the Death Star and the defeat of Darth Vader in the Empire. See, I mean, like, this is super cool. So there's some really unique stuff there. It's sold out in a lot of sizes, though, because I think a lot of people were really excited about this. And they even had some additional...
That's my favorite one, Return of the Jedi.
Sorry. This one, right? The Empire Strike. Oh, yeah, the Return of the Jedi. I have it up here. Yeah.
This, I would say, to me, this is the most iconic piece of promotional artwork or like commercial artwork that is connected with Star Wars. It's just absolutely stunning. I love it.
And on the back, it's got that, again, opening crawl. It was a dark time for the Rebel Alliance, Han Solo. Just really cool stuff on this website. They have some really cool, kind of unique collector stuff if you're curious. Definitely expensive. Definitely expensive. That's fire. Yeah, it is. It is. This stuff is dope. They have some really cool Empire Strikes Back stuff as well. I like the old kind of covers. So very fun stuff there and exciting. You know, with the High Republic, you hit the nail on the head for me. I love the focus. I love the continuity. Yeah. I love the reward they're giving fans. Like, hey, if you're going to read our comic, if you're going to read the young adult books and the adult books, we're going to reward you. There's going to be character crossovers for all of them. You're going to be fully invested in this time. And I love that they reward the readers. To me, it kind of reminds me of like when you dive into the Clone Wars, you know, it extends the prequel era, right? It's rewarding you for really staying with Star Wars. Now we get the Bad Batch, which is continuing to flesh that time out. And by, like you said, I think in A Test of Courage, which was, you know, aimed at a young child audience, you know, in air quotes, it got dark in that book. I mean, people died right at the beginning, you know, loved ones. And I really credit them for not being afraid, because they know adults like us are going to read those because we care about Star Wars, and they're putting stuff in there for us as well. So major credit. I think you're dead on.
Josh, while we're on the topic, I know we have a lot of stuff to cover, but I just wanted to very quickly ask you, since we're here and we're about to move on, why is the response the way it is on social media in regards to High Republic? What do you think it is? Well, quick answer. You know, let's not spend the whole.
It's a number of things. Yeah, it's a number of things. You know, like you said, right off the bat, there's still some older fans who, you know, love that Legends content, and they feel Disney slighted them by removing it or undoing it, and it kind of connects the whole sequel trilogy anger as well. The other reason is there's a movement right now, and we'll actually talk about it. It's actually you accidentally segued well into a topic I wanted to discuss.
Oh, really? Okay.
You did. So I'll set the scene. You know, there's a movement right now, and you've even kind of talked about it on your channel. You know, where anytime any content creator talks about anything that's deemed woke, right? Yeah. There's an immediate backlash.
Right.
And, you know, you've talked about on your channel the importance of, you know, representation versus just being token, right? And I think we all agree, and I've said something on my channel, you know, we want the characters to be well fleshed out, well discussed, and whatever sort of representation comes with them, we'll totally accept if we feel. And I think fans, you know, saw the authors, you know, I think they look at the High Republic comic run and they see, you know, a black female Jedi with kind of a unique hairstyle, and they think, oh, this is just going to be, you know, woke propaganda, and and they kind of wrote it off at that minute. And I don't think and you can disagree with me, but, you know, I think from reading the High Republic, there's none of that agenda to me in those pages. You know, there's not any discussion about, you know, racism or real world topics. You know, these characters just happen to be, you know, maybe a different skin color than you expect or a different gender than you expect. But I never feel like they are pushing, you know, some narrative down my throat. To this point, I've actually, heck, you could, you know, the characters I've really enjoyed so much, I barely could care what their background is. So I think a lot of fans, you know, and I understand, you know, we're in a really, you know, kind of crazy time where people react kind of off
impulsively.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I understand. I always want to be respectful of people's perspective. And I've tried to say, and it's going to segue right into a topic from this week, which was the Acolyte. And we're not going to go into, I don't know if you saw this story. If not,
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it got, you know, an interview that the writer, showrunner, whatever you want to call her, did an interview about the Acolyte. And she said a couple things, and folks have really grabbed onto a few. And there's really been kind of this backlash, you know, let's write the show off already. Yeah. I do want to give an update. I think this will be interesting for people. Today, it was confirmed, or at least soft confirmed. I haven't had an official press release from Disney, obviously, but they're targeting filming The Acolyte starting in February of next year. So February 2022 in London is when they're going to start filming. And the reason I was so excited for The Acolyte, and I'll pass it over to you, is for two reasons. One, it's talking about being kind of a suspense mystery focused on the dark side, which is like a dream scenario. You tell me that, and I'm like immediately excited.
I know your taste.
Yes. and it's supposed to come maybe towards the end of the High Republic era, you know, which is fascinating to me, right? This, you know, if this does well, who knows what we might be able to see. So though, when I heard that announcement, you know, this is top of my list. But what I find, and you might deal with this as well, is when these kind of controversies break, regardless of my opinion, regardless of how I feel, it can really bum me out when it's like, now it's a lightning rod for controversy. When this show comes out, there's already going to be a group of people who have decided they're not going to like it based on these interviews, and it's hard to shake a first impression. And so even though I'm excited and I'm ready to go and I want to see this, it does bum me out a little bit that people have already written it off. We haven't even seen it yet, and people seem to already be writing it off. I mean, how do you feel about that? I mean, does it bother you? Do you let it get to you?
Well, first of all, in response to how people communicate about this, I completely disregard it. To me, that's noise. To me, that's gossip. Nobody has inside information, and nobody knows what it's about. And just you can, pick a phrase or two words from this article and spin them any way you want, and it's not going to make any difference to how other people feel about this. Same with High Republic. It's like, oh, it's this or it's that. People label it. It's not going to change how I feel. It's unless you come from an informed position. Like sometimes I go to the Disney books because I want them to notice me. I want to get advanced copies of the books so I can review them for the fans earlier. And I see so much negativity there, and it's like, it seems like it's a profession. It's people who really seek attention, and they're extremely few and minority. Because if you're an adult person and you need to fill your quota by going to these articles like Twitter and Acolyte and High Republic and just put your laughing smiley over somebody's good comment, there's something deeply wrong with you inside of you. Either sad or you're depressed, a number of things. And I don't mean it like sarcastically. I don't mean to laugh at people. It's people need attention. I realize that. But when it comes to Acolyte and the content itself, what really grabbed at me and I found interesting is that the showrunner, if you could please remind me her name, I forget.
Oh my gosh, I believe it's her first name is Leslie. I'm totally blanking on her last name.
Let's go with Leslie.
Let me pull it up. Yeah.
The showrunner, she talked about what excites her, what she's looking for to create, and then she goes by what George Lucas, one of his pillars was always politics and the inner workings, of the Republic and then
it's
the Empire.
Leslie Headland.
Leslie Headland. And one of the things that she mentions, which people take out of context and already rip apart, is that she said, look, I even hired people who don't know anything about Star Wars because I want a fresh perspective. And guess what? For me, as a lifelong fan, that's awesome. I want somebody with a fresh perspective because, just because somebody is a huge fan doesn't mean they're going to produce a good content.
Absolutely.
And the perfect example of that is the latest Mortal Kombat movie. It's a good one-time watch. It's a good escapism. It's a good movie. Yeah. Hell no. But the guys who made it are huge
fans. Yep.
Right? Mm-hmm. And then you have somebody who goes into it, like, for example, I don't know how much of a fan of X-Men comics the director of Logan is. What's his name? Michael?
Yeah, I'm totally. Yeah, I know. But I know you're talking about. Yep.
Let's find out. I'm so
well. No. As you're looking it up, I will.
James Mangold. James Mangold.
There you go. Yeah.
I don't know how much of a fan he is, but when he makes a movie like Logan, it's an absolute knowledge of the character, and yet it's putting a spin on the character and the lore and the universe in an unexpected and interesting way. And that's what I'm looking for from Acolyte. I'm looking for something that we as fans don't ever anticipate. I don't ever want this franchise to be complacent or cater to fans and say like, oh, that's the trend. That's what people like. It's not like Britney Spears. Oh, that's the latest trend in pop music. We're gonna dress it up so and so. Don't do that. Experiment. Play with formula. And you know what? If the formula breaks and this show doesn't deliver, so what? It's not a big deal. But it's very, very important to push forward, I think.
I'll say, one more thing on the topic, and this is just my opinion, so, I'm not going to throw Timeline in here with me if he disagrees. Yeah. I've heard something where people will say, I don't want to see representation just for representation's sake, right? I want good characters, and I understand what they're trying to say, but here's how I feel about it. If I'm a writer, so let's say Disney comes to me around and they say, Josh, I want you to write your dream Star Wars story. And I say, okay, I want to tell the story of a young dark side Sith user from the days of the Old Republic. That's my dream story. And Disney says, go for it. And I say, okay, in my head, this character he looks like me. I want it to be me. So he's this, white, middle-aged, a young adult. And he's, okay, just because I said, I want this character to be white and like me, it doesn't mean, inherently it's bad, right? It just means like that's the character I envisioned in my head. So if someone gets a character, they say, hey, Leslie, we want you to write this character. And she goes, okay, I'm thinking about this character and I see it as a woman, a young woman. I think that's perfect for this role. Well, I mean, it's okay. That's the story they want to tell. Every story you have someone in your head. When you made Spider-Man, right? When Stan Lee, sits there to talk about Spider-Man, he sees this young, kid from Brooklyn. And it was this, we all start with a character in our head. We all start with an idea. And, if someone specifically says, hey, I want to tell the story of a young, black female Jedi, and it's a good story, that's okay. As long as the story matches, the expectation, that's just how I feel about it. I think people hear the word representation and think, oh, it's one thing if you take a character and fundamentally change them to fit your narrative, like an established character. Like, we make Han Solo a woman. I mean, I see people would be like, well, that's a little weird. He's an established character. Why are we changing his gender? But if I make a whole new character, in my head, and I want them to meet a certain criteria, and I have a great story about this person, doesn't bother me. But that's just me thinking off the top. That's just.
No, it's. I want to bring a perfect example. You and I have both finished Light of the Jedi, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I want to be very, very honest with my audience. How do I, interpret all this information? So in the Light of the Jedi, there's a small scene where the Jedi go to these two industrialists who are like, I think they're from Coruscant, the Santekas. He's like an entrepreneur. He's a business philanthropist, and he's genius. And they're asking him for an advice on the technology, blah blah blah. Not even a side character. He's a very small encounter to push the story forward.
Yeah.
And very casually they mentioned like he has a husband. And I believe at one point the husband comes up. They have an exchange. They have some secret that they keep from the Republic and the Jedi, so forth. And it's done. I'm not going to lie. It irked me a little bit. It didn't create negative feelings where I'm like, oh my God, I'm putting this book out. No, it irked me a little bit. I'm like, literally, I'm going to, guys, like, reveal to you, like, my intimate thoughts. As I'm reading the book, did you have to mention it? Like, you could have a character standing next. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. But at the same time, it feels like the author's intent is like, by the way, you need to put this there. Just mention it quickly. And for me, it's always irksome. It's like, okay, whatever. Let's move on with the story. But if you're gonna do that to me, I want, as a straight guy, as somebody who's heterosexual and very open-minded, and I'm very loving and embracing of everybody, I want more. That's my only gripe with it. Like, why don't you make them more interesting? And perhaps in the second book they will. If Santekas become some major players in this, soap opera, and they kind of like their secret emerges, and they're connected with Mark Roll, the main villain. There's some kind of connection between them. I'm like, okay, cool, interesting. And it's the strength of the character that makes that other part more accepting. Because let's face it, look, we live in a society, not only in the United States here in the West, but globally, where LGBTQ issues are not the norm yet. There aren't. And it's always when you bring a topic like that to the forefront, people respond in all kinds of ways. And I think if you're gonna do it deliberately, if you're gonna do it with intent, like it was in this book, then you need to expand the scope a little.
Yeah, I think we could sum it up by it felt, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it could feel almost a little forced. And
a tiny
exactly,
bit. Yeah.
And that's what no one wants that about any character. It could be the character has, you don't ever want anything to feel forced. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be a, an issue of how the character identifies. It could be, you don't want to feel like they're pushing something that doesn't belong. I totally understand what you're saying.
Not even forced. The words that I would use is contrived.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Very fair. Well, we are about 35 minutes in, and I want to give you an option to talk about something I saw on your Twitter account. Let me see if I can pull this up here. Let's see if I can see here. First of all, check out this wallpaper. Fantastic wallpaper I have going, right?
Yeah,
but
I love it.
I saw this on your Twitter account. Right. It seems to be that we're trying to get some young Jedi Knights released. Tell me about this. What's going on here?
So, as a huge fan, this is one of my favorite series. J. Anderson is probably my favorite Star Wars author because he wrote my favorite trilogy, The Jedi Academy. And these books have always been with me. And I'm so bad that yet again it's one of the series, a 14 book series that I've read only 6 of, and I'm like pushing forward and always restarting them, always trying to start afresh. But anyway, the point is, once I saw that these legend books are being printed, I'm like, a big, exclamation mark. I said, hold on a second. I messed around. I'm also part of a group of a lot of Japanese RPG games, and I make these stupid, posters that are fake, and fans come in and say, "Oh my God, Xenogears Part 2! Somebody's making Legends of Dragoon Part 2! Oh my God!" And then they see it's fake, but it really caught their attention. And I said, "Oh, hold on a second. Instead of fooling around and messing with people, I have my own Star Wars channel now. I have a Facebook group that is approaching 1,000 followers. By the way, thank you so much, guys. I appreciate each and every one of you. I appreciate each comment. I take it close to heart, and and I try to listen. But what this is, I said, well, yeah, petitions. We all know how petitions work. Nobody really signs off on them. Nobody responds to you directly. But I'm like, hey, let's dare the fates and the powers that be. Let me just throw together this really fun poster, tag the author, tag a couple of big names on Twitter, all these YouTubers and stuff that have Twitter accounts, and I just threw it in there. And the first person to retweet it was Kevin J. Anderson, or one of the first. I'm like, I was starstruck for a minute. He didn't even directly contact me. I was like, oh, he's paying attention. Okay, all right, can we get this going? So I took $15 off my check that just came in that day. I threw it behind this campaign. I'm like, let it sit there. I'll try to reiterate it on Twitter every day, just so I don't pollute my Facebook feed. I'll do it once a week or something. But let's get enthusiasm going. I know some fans are like, oh, you know how these petitions work? They're always like negative. I'm like, man, it's just do it for fun.
Hey, look, here's the truth of it. As you guys know, I'm a big DC fan. I thought the release the Snyder Cut movement would literally never work in a million years.
And
it did. And I will be buying it when it comes out in Blu-ray in September in 4K. Because, sometimes you get lucky. And now that fandom might be a little toxic at some points now. And other fandoms might be as well. But I think you hit the nail on the head. What I love about what you're doing over here, and I didn't mean to get off of it so quickly, is fans...
Where's my poster?
Yeah. Fans, authors notice it.
Yeah.
And I think, with Cavan Scott interacts with his fans, a lot of these people are putting their time into this work. And, I'm big in anything in life about, we don't need to treat people terribly because we don't like something they did. You could disagree completely. You could say, you know what, I don't want any sort of, ABC in my Star Wars. And I hate that, I hate that Cavan Scott wrote this kind of Star Wars. But man, he's not a bad person. He's not a bad guy. He just had a difference of opinion when it comes to Star Wars. Yeah. And I think that we've got to, the fans who enjoy it, it's always good to give them some encouragement and say, hey, I love what you did. Thanks. And so with something like this, where you're saying, hey, your books meant a lot to me. I'd love to see them re-released in some capacity. I love it. Super awesome. So
yeah, it's people expect and people demand perfection where, it's look at the stuff that you have done. How have you influenced the public in any positive or meaningful way? And I always bring Steven Spielberg as an example, as the greatest filmmakers in the West, just because of the library of the films that he has done and different genres he tapped into. Even people like him stumble, and it's fine. It's okay. We shouldn't demand excellence from people. And, you can't have excellence on demand in creative field. And I'll tell you why. Somebody who does graphic design professionally, and I've studied, animation for 4 years. I have a degree in film. I've worked in a comic book shop for about 12 years. I've read all sorts of stories. I was so on point with my DC, Marvel, Star Wars reading, at one point before they rebooted each of those 25 times and I gave up. But, the idea is you could have an amazing author, and here's the next issue comes in at the, on the comic shelf, and you expect excellence, and okay, well, this comic didn't go. If you treat all of this stuff as a monthly deal, okay, we got a trilogy of Star Wars that didn't go anywhere. Some fans are unhappy. It keeps going. It's a process. It's reshaping and remolding. And I'll say this to George Lucas purists. Like the Star Wars
theory.
Theory, who's a huge follower of George Lucas, and I respect that tremendously. I'm like, okay, that's what he's into. But they're trying to learn to do this thing, the books, the shows, the movies, without him, because it's going to outlive not only George Lucas, but all of us. Give these guys a chance.
Absolutely. And as you were talking, I was going through Kevin Scott's Twitter, because you can just see from his interaction with the fans, he is so excited to see everyone's comments. He talks so highly of Heir to the Empire and Timothy Zahn and his love for Star Wars. And I think, so many times we can just write these guys off. They love it, man. They love it. And first of all, here is that cover, by the way.
Man.
I know. I'm with you. I wish it had something on there. I'd probably pull the trigger, but I do want to say it is just gorgeous.
Look, I know it's going to I'm going to compromise. It's going to my wallpaper on my desktop for sure.
There you go. So last thing I want to talk about, I don't want to let you go. I don't want to hold you too long. Sure. Bad Batch, they were kind of at the halfway point. They put a little teaser out today, kind of recapping the season so far. Mm-hmm. Tell me what you think about the Bad Batch so far. What are you expecting to see? We had a big character reveal last week. What do you, where's it going? How much have you liked it? Just quick thoughts before I let you go.
Yeah. The Bad Batch is my moment of zen. I completely, it's that point where you let go of the steering wheel and you're like, take me on a journey. Take me on a ride. Like, if I may say, like, make love to me the day for lunch. It's each and every episode up until this point, to me, I don't want to say perfection. I don't want to put it on the super high pedestal, but it fits like a puzzle, man. It's like they know it feels like Filoni and all the amazing writers and directors and animators who are behind the show now, they have evolved so much that as somebody who studied storytelling myself, you feel an expert hand behind it, and they know when to dial up the action. They know when to slow down and focus on a single character. It's such an amazing interplay of different skill sets coming together into one show. It's tremendous.
It has been awesome. Yeah. Are we gonna stay up late and watch it tonight, Blue Pig? I wish I could. I always wish I could. I mean, I love, Star Wars Theory. I think he does like those 2-3 a.m. streams with his fans reacting. That is awesome. I am jealous. I wish I could do that with you guys. But not yet. Not yet. And now they're going to start releasing on Wednesdays. I don't know if you saw that last week. All of our Disney Plus shows are going to start releasing on Wednesdays. So it means, when The Acolyte comes out, or when the next, The Book of Boba Fett, or when The Mandalorian. It's going to be Wednesday nights, which I kind of like the midweek boost, a little bit. Friday nights was, Friday was fun, but I kind of loved, I come home from work on Wednesdays and, whatever, you go out with your family, go to church, whatever you do on Wednesdays, and come home and wrap up your night with a good new episode. I love that. So I'm excited. I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to see how it does because the Book of Boba Fett is high on my radar of anticipated. And I hope Disney Plus has been a really sweet spot for Star Wars. That's, the last things I'll say. Clone Wars fits so well there. The Bad Batch fits so well there. Mandalorian, everything right now, Disney Plus Star Wars to me, like it feels like we found a home for Star Wars in the best way. I love it.
And for me, I realized, once you sample, that wine and, that's the perfect wine and you never want to let go. Once I tasted what serialized Star Wars looks like, where, the storytellers can react, and like the first season of Mandalorian is this, and then the second season is like that, and constantly evolve. It's the perfect formula for Star Wars for me. I don't even know if I ever want to go back to theaters and see it on the huge screen. Yeah, probably because
of course, but
excitement, the roaring crowds. But for me, where storytelling is concerned, I'm putting all my chips into the serialized stuff.
It's great. I hope they keep knocking out of the park, and that's why I'm excited for the Acolyte. Maybe some of the comments of the writer weren't perfect. I like to give people grace a little bit and give them benefit of the doubt. When she said she likes political stuff, I think she means like George Lucas liked it. And I'm gonna keep being excited for it. So, without further ado, I don't want to hold you up too long. It's been 45 minutes. I really appreciate you hopping on. I appreciate the fans in chat. I've seen Nick, Heather, Highwire. J Charge, it seems, is in here as well. Blue Pig, you guys have been awesome. I know a lot of you are
for watching, guys. Really
I know a lot of you are subscribed to Timeline. I know every time I call them out, I'll have people commenting, hey, I'm already subscribed. But it's been a lot of fun. Make sure you go check out his Facebook page, check out his YouTube, check out our podcast. We've done a couple on the prequels. I'll make sure I come back through and link that below. we have a good time talking Star Wars. It's nice to find some fans. We don't agree on everything, and that's good. But
That's
we
awesome.
know how to have the conversations, I think, and I really enjoy it. So I appreciate you coming on.
No, it's great to be here, and I expect you back on my podcast sometime soon. We got to continue that prequel talk.
That's right. So guys, we're gonna try to do this. You know, we will try to do this regularly on Thursdays. We'll see where the wind takes us, but I hope we can because it's been fun talking to you guys for a little over a half hour here. So I'm gonna wrap it up here. Thank you guys for stopping by. We will be back very soon. Until then, guys, hope you have a great weekend. Enjoy the Bad Batch